everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Number One Comics Podcast. This is the only podcast that is dedicated to the review and discussion of first issues. I'm your host, Jonah. With me is Bill. Bill, welcome.
Thank you.
And happy anniversary. Because I believe, I don't know exactly when it was, but relatively brief, like not too long ago, I think we crossed that 1 year mark. So we've been doing this for like about a year now.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Yeah. So thanks for being on this journey with me.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's been a lot of fun. Going back and revisiting some old comics that I hadn't read for years, and some new ones that I had never really checked out until the purpose of doing this. So, how's it been for you over the course of the year?
I've loved it because, especially when we go back to like some of the 90s type stuff, when I was really big into comics, it's really cool to go back and see, and then moving forward, to like early 2000s and such, kind of seeing where they've been, where they've, how far they've come.
Yeah, I think even over the next couple of weeks, we've got some great 90s stuff that's coming. And then as I look to next year, we've got some other 90s stuff we're going to be touching on, as well as some more 2000s. And I want to even go maybe a little further back than 90s and get into some eras that, early 80s that I'm not even super familiar with, because that was even a little before my comic reading time. We've talked about this, but we really didn't start reading comics until about 91, 92.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to revisiting some of those. Now, what we're talking about tonight is DC Horror presents Creature Commandos, not a 90s comic. This is a newer comic. This is sort of our Halloween episode, so to speak, because this will be coming out right around Halloween. In fact, the week of Halloween. Is Halloween a big holiday for you?
Oh, yeah.
Trick-or-treating?
Favorite holiday.
Decorating? Dressing up?
Trick-or-treating, I don't have a huge area to decorate, but made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love going and shopping for costumes and stuff like that. My daughter and I have always tried to do a theme, and this year we're doing Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, nice.
So,
are you the Mad Hatter?
I am.
All right.
Yes.
And then I presume your daughter is Alice?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. It became like this really complicated thing. The original way we were going to do it as like steampunk Alice in Wonderland.
I like that. Okay.
But that didn't really pan out too well. So
now, do you make your own costumes?
I do not.
No. Okay.
But I do. The one I'll be wearing for our Halloween episode of Field of Geeks is kind of one I made myself.
Right on.
It's not really too complicated. It's kind of just like what he would wear anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I try to do it like pretty practical anyway. If I have something in my closet that will go with it and it works.
I had to do that last week. We went to a Halloween party, and I didn't really have it in my budget this year to do much in terms of costuming.
Right.
And I already had
a problem too.
Yeah, I'd already had like, a Jason Voorhees costume that I bought when I was emceeing a trivia night.
Right.
But I was like, I'm probably never going to wear this again, so I actually returned it. So I didn't even have that anymore. So we went to this Halloween party last week, and I ended up just wearing like a suit that I would wear for work with like an ascot that I would wear for work.
Right. And
then a teddy bear, like a bloody teddy bear mask of some sort. I don't even know what it's from, but I picked it up last year on a whim.
Very cool.
So that was my Halloween costume. And then I'm actually, this upcoming weekend, I'm going to be in I've got a poker tournament, and again, we can wear a costume. And so I'm going to wear all black suit, again, what I would typically wear for work.
Right.
And I have a mask that has no face. It's just got like black eyes, but like no face otherwise. That with like a black top hat is going to be my costume. And it's actually going to be really good to play poker in, because I can't have a poker face in that.
There you go.
Because there is no face on it. So nice. I'm very excited about that. Maybe I'll actually win this time.
Very cool.
Since I've played for 20 plus years and have never once come in first.
Well, best of luck to you.
Yeah. But yeah, Halloween's an exciting time. My family, not just my wife and kids, we love Halloween, but like my wife's whole family, we're very big into Halloween. We always we decorate our yard, which I always thought I went a little crazy, but then there's actually this house not far from me in my neighborhood, which I haven't, we've only lived there for a short time. And so we weren't there last Halloween, but man, these people go all out. So I really have to step it up next year.
Yeah.
Because what I have in my yard, it pales in comparison to what they've done.
See, there was a house not far from us last year that did something for Christmas that I'd love to do a Halloween spin on. Mm-hmm. And it was like where they had their lights synced up to music, and you could, when you drove by it, you could tune to the radio station and hear the songs playing or whatever. I'd love to do that with like
there's a
Rob Zombie or something.
In my old,
like that would be cool.
My old town suburb, there was one of those streets that I think did that. It even had a name like Gingerbread Lane or something like that. That it would do that. I think that was it was pretty cool. My problem with decorating as much for Christmas as for Halloween is Christmas is by the time it gets to like January 1st, when you're ready to take the stuff down, it's too cold to want to be outside. November 1st, after Halloween, I have no problem going out there, taking everything down. It shouldn't be too bad weather-wise, but it's also the Midwest. You never know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
One of the other things, too, I'm excited about, and where my hat came from, my father-in-law gave us these hats, or made these hats, each with like different Halloween characters on them, and we could choose, and I chose the Mummy because I liked the colors on it. But we, every year, and I think we did take 1 or 2 years off, but for the most part, every year we go to my in-laws' place on Beggar's Night, which for those of people that aren't in Des Moines or Iowa probably don't even know what Beggar's Night is.
Yeah, and we don't.
And now Beggar's Night is really the same as Halloween. It's kind of all one and the same. But we would always go on Beggar's Night, which is when kids would traditionally go trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
And we would do a dance like in their yard for all the trick-or-treaters.
Huh.
We choreographed it, we rehearsed it for weeks, and then we would do a dance, and we've covered all different types of properties. We've done Thriller a couple of times.
Yeah.
That was our first, and then I think we did that again on one of the anniversaries, maybe the 35th anniversary. We did Addams Family. What else? Beetlejuice, Ghostbusters. We did dinosaurs, like at Jurassic Park, I think, theme one time. We've done a lot of them. So this year is the Monster Mash.
Oh, very cool.
And so I will be dressing up as a werewolf, just busting out my old werewolf costume. Some of you guys, if you've listened to Field of Geeks or watched you might have seen that same werewolf costume making cocktails one year. So I'll be busting out that same costume for the dance. So very excited about that. That should be a good time.
Nice.
Well, let's get into the issue. Again, we're talking about Creature Commandos, which was published by DC Comics. Cover date of December of 2024, so just came out about a year ago. Cover price, $4.99. Now, this comic was written by David Dasmalkian. I am probably mispronouncing that name. I don't think so.
I think it's close, yeah.
But, yeah. But even if someone's not familiar with the name, you might have seen him in films such as Late Night with the Devil, and I think he is magnificent in The Suicide Squad as Polka Dot Man.
Yes.
He's great in that. And then we've got art by Jesus Hervas, and I'm probably mispronouncing his name as well, because that's sort of my thing. The concept of Creature Commandos, now they first appeared in comics back in 1980. In an excellent title called Weird War Tales. I don't know if you've ever read any Weird War Tales.
No.
I have a handful of issues that were probably passed down to me from uncles or cousins because, man, these things have seen better days. Like, these are like beaten up reader copies.
Right.
Back before people would bag and board their issues.
Right.
So they're definitely not in the best of condition, but they're still a lot of fun to go back and look through. Now, it wasn't until 2000 when the Creature Commandos would get their first self-titled book, and that ran for 8 issues. And then there was, years later, in 2000 and about 2011, I think it was, because it was part of DC's New 52 initiative. There was a title called Frankenstein, Agent of Shade that was launched, and I remember when that was coming out, I was getting out of comics at that time, so I really kind of looked at DC's New 52 endeavor as like my clean break from the DC universe, because it was all new continuity, all new titles,
right,
new stories. And so I was like, all right, this is my way out. Now, that said, you can easily find the majority of those New 52 titles in bargain bins real cheap. And I've had a chance to go back and visit some of those New 52 books. I haven't read all of them, and some are much better than others.
Right.
But that Frankenstein one has been like one of my favorites from that. And it only ran about, I think, 16 actual issues, 17 if you count the 0 issue.
Okay.
But that has been a really cool title. So we'll probably talk about that at some point because I enjoy it. And there wasn't a lot to it. It was a pretty easy story arc to go back and collect. And I think, again, I collected it for like $1 an issue.
Yeah.
Pretty cheap. So I think, in fact, now that I think about it, I'm only missing the 0 issue, if I'm not mistaken. I might have a whole run of that by now. But anyway,
cool.
In case I didn't... oh, no, I did mention it. Yeah. David S. Malkian, I don't know that he's written any other comics. I only know him as the actor. This is the first chance that I've really had to get to know him as a writer. And when you have someone that makes that transition, in my opinion, you don't always know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's wonderful. Sometimes it's not very good at all. In this case, I think it worked out pretty well, as we'll talk about a little bit later when we get into our thoughts.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get into the book itself. And we're going to start with the cover. On our cover, we've got our team of monsters. They're running, they're leaping, they're flying towards us, etc. We have Lucky. He's our Frankenstein monster. Vince Velcro is a vampire. A Gorgon-typed character named Mina, and a werewolf named Wanda. These are our core characters that we're going to meet in this issue. These are the ones that are leaping at us off of the cover. Now let's go ahead and dive inside. Opening up 2 weeks from now, so when this very first page sort of takes place in the future, so it takes place 2 weeks from now, we open up inside a grocery store called Truman's. Velcro, our vampire, is tossed into a shelf display of Chocferatu cereal. I can only imagine that is as stale as Count Chocula always is. As much as I say I love that cereal, they are always stale as shit. In fact, I think they just rebox old supply every year for Halloween. And I still am a dumbass and buy it every year for Halloween. I haven't bought it yet this year, but I will. I'm sure I will. As he lies on the floor dazed, Wanda yells at him not to die on her. He gives her a sly smile, and he reminds her that he can't die. Mina corrects him that anything that lives can die. Mina and Wanda immediately begin to butt heads over which of them is actually running this operation, and then there's an explosion that blasts them off their feet. On the ground and all dazed, Mina tells him to initiate their frenzy modes and calls out to Lucky for help. Each of the monsters on the ground, dazed, they push this button on these collars that are around their necks, and this allows them to further transform, or for lack of a better term, mutate into even more monstrous forms or monstrous appearances. Around the same time Lucky arrives, he announces this loudly, and he refers to himself in the third person. Lucky is carrying a bazooka or rocket launcher of some sort. He still has someone's severed hand, is still gripping the handle of this thing. He fires this bazooka, which causes a large explosion, and then he stops suddenly before he runs over to this young child that had inadvertently been caught in the blast. He kneels down, he's cradling the child's lifeless body. His teammates rush to him, and they assure him that this was an accident and it was not his fault. He couldn't have known that she'd have been hiding under that cash register. Again, he's on his knees. He's devastated. He turns the bazooka on himself, and this is where we then cut to now. So we're going back in time a few weeks. And we cut to a large lab where Dr. Barbara West is, quote-unquote, operating on a cadaver of some sort sprawled out on a large exam table. And she's talking to herself. She's asking someone named Jason for advice. Mina enters the lab, and she's inquiring, who was Dr. West talking to? Mina is informed by Dr. West that she was just talking to herself. Mina does ask, who Jason is. Dr. West is annoyed, kind of reminds Mina that she better not be trying to read her mind because that's a breach of trust. So this indicates to us that Mina's got some telepathic abilities. Mm-hmm. Mina does inform Dr. West that he, in a quote-unquote he, because it's not mentioned by name, that he is regenerating nicely. The two ladies are quickly interrupted by the entrance of a man named General Eiling. And the general is one that oversees the lab from the government. He essentially has all the power. He can shut him down. He's the one that keeps him running, so to speak. The lab has been open for 3 years, but he's not seeing the results that Dr. West had kept promising him. He keeps, in these operations that they have been doing, or these experiments she's been running, they somehow keep blowing up in his face. He does say that he would shutter the whole place, but there's an emergency, and he actually needs Dr. West to put together a team of these special assets as soon as possible. Dr. West claims that the only one that she's got right now is Lucky, and he is in regeneration. So that's who Mina had been referring to previously. The general tells her that he brought in someone who can help. Out in the hallway of the lab, Dr. West meets a special ops ranger named Lieutenant Matthew Shreve. He's been brought in by the general to lead the creature unit in the field. Shreve has clearly seen his share of action. He's battle-scarred. He's equipped with a mechanical prosthetic arm. He claims he doesn't buy into kind of the supernatural mumbo-jumbo, though neither does Dr. West, admittedly. She believes that supernatural anomalies can be explained through scientific methods, even a werewolf as example. And she goes on to state, 350 quintillion gallons of oceanic water is controlled by the moon every day. So who's to say what that kind of power can have over the physiology of a man or a woman? Shreve asks where the team is. West informs him that she only has one. He's in recovery. Mina interjects, stating that they have been tracking several prime candidates through the Midwest. Shreve is like, great, let's go get them. Dr. West tells Mina to stay back at the lab and to keep watch. General Eiling grumbles about the millions of dollars that they've dumped into this lab with very little to show for it. Shreve asks the doctor what kind of creature they're going to be about to recruit. And she answers the best way to describe him is that he's a vampire. With this, we cut to Chicago, Illinois, where we are properly introduced to Vincent Velcro. Can I just say, that's a hilarious name for a vampire.
Right.
Velcro has been making a living as a freelance hitman. Dr. West has put a few of Shreve's men in place as security for a local politician. She's essentially using them as bait. So the bait and the security guards arrive at a meeting. Whomever it is that they were meeting with has already been brutally dispatched by Velcro. Velcro tries to flee, taking out a few of the guards. A squad of Shreve's men quickly descend on him, and they're armed with these called Index 9 UV rifles, essentially these rifles that emit a light wave that is equal to direct sunlight, and they use that to sort of create a field to trap Velcro in. Dr. West approaches him with an offer to join them. Now, he's resisting at first. He doesn't care about helping their government or doing something for the benefit of humanity. He could give two shits about that. Dr. West assures him that if he commits to successfully fulfilling the needs of her program, she can get him, and then she kind of whispers whatever it is into his ear. We don't know what she says, but whatever she whispers to him, it does the trick, and he agrees to join them. Their next stop is in Detroit. A police car has pulled over a youngster. The cops, they waste no time in accusing this person of being up to no good, accusing him of being gang affiliated, etc. One of them, as he gets out of the car, they're like, "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." One of the police officers warns. Now, this voice from off panel is like, he's not. And then there's this growl that comes up from behind him, and it's Wanda, our werewolf. She leaps at them from behind. In midair, however, she's zapped by some sort of electrified rope or coils. It's Shreve and Dr. West. They approach, and Shreve... it's funny because as they come up, the banter between them, you can really tell that Dr. West is a lot more... empathetic towards all of these characters, whereas Shreve he's got like no bedside manner whatsoever. Dr. West tells Wanda that she knows all about her and her family. West assures her that she has the tools to help Wanda transform into her most powerful self anytime she wants, regardless of the moon. In exchange for Wanda's service, her sister will also be released from prison. With that, Wanda quickly agrees. Later, we're back at the lab. Mina is telling Lucky that he's regenerating nicely, and she's proud of him. Dr. West has returned, telling Mina that their mission was a success. Dr. West introduces Mina to Wanda and Velcro. They, along with Lucky, will be rounding out this new Project M battalion. And it's revealed that the M stands for merge, because it merges the known and unknown of the science community. I think you could also say it probably stands for monster, but right. She says it stands for merge. Shreve simply refers to them as a TCU, or the Creature Unit. General Eiling tells them they don't have a second to spare. A catastrophically dangerous weapon is being developed on a small island off the Skeleton Coast near Namibia. They can't risk an airstrike, and the island is guarded by thousands of automatons, which would result in too many human casualties if they were to send in a ground force. So Shreve is going to be taking these, their words, not mine, freaks there. Dr. West has only a short time to help them understand how she can help them reach their full potential and control their power. Mina drops in on General West's thoughts, and he's essentially telling himself that this plan has got to work. It has to work. We cut to the island itself. This is, again, an island off the coast of the Skeleton Coast. There's a woman called General Buzzword. She's standing with a group of paramilitary-looking guys. She orders them to kick the shit out of a little old lady that's seated on the floor before them. Believing this to be the easiest buck they'll ever make, they proceed to stomp the old biddy into a bloody pulp. Buzzword leaves the room, closing a set of doors behind her. Inside this room, the men realize that whatever they'd been American history X curb stomping isn't just a little old lady. It's in fact not even a human at all. While Buzzword makes her way down a hallway, she hears the screams and agony of those guys' cries for help. She enters a room where a holographic image of General Eiling is meeting with someone. This person's still unseen. She informs them that the test was complete and none of the assets survived. Our unseen voice tells them those assets were expendable, just like both of them. The voice tells Eiling that while his government is playing a game theory with him, they won't be able to see what his next move is. The general responds that he'll keep things on track. Our last page is a reveal page. We see that Eiling and Buzzword are talking to none other than Brainiac, the Superman villain. Brainiac states that within 72 hours, his weapons will be capable of walking through any metal detector and into any space on the globe. He goes on to say, just a simple tourist taking photos of the White House, the UN, Heathrow, and with the capability of annihilating a square kilometer of life, humanity will fall to its knees in horror. And with that, we are to be continued. Bill, thoughts?
I really like this one. Really knew nothing about the characters going into it, but it's almost like they're putting together a team of Avengers that's made up of like universal monsters.
Yes. And I love that too.
I love about it.
Yeah.
Now, we kind of talked a little bit about Halloween, how we get into it and everything like that. I didn't get into like Universal Monsters until I was like in middle school. And it's because I was like in a film class and we were watching them to like kind of study the differences between current at the time movies and the old black and white silent film Nosferatu type stuff. This is really cool.
I think what got me into the Universal Monsters, 'cause I'm a big fan of Universal Monsters, and like that's one of my favorite. Fans of all of them. My two top favorites, Wolfman and Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes.
The Creature and the Wolfman are my favorite in terms of designs.
Yes.
Mummy's great, Frankenstein's great, or Frankenstein's Monster's great, Bride of Frankenstein's great. It's funny because when we were kids, or when I was a kid, my intro to that whole world was Abbott and Costello. That whole series of movies of Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, or Abbott and Costello meet Dracula.
Right.
And you can actually, those are on AMC Plus, so you can go back and still check those out. But that was my intro to the Universal Monsters as a kid. I loved those.
Yeah.
And fell in love with those monsters as well. And so I'm admittedly, I'm a huge sucker for characters like this. And in terms of like just supernatural stories, comics, generally speaking, I'm a big sucker for. Over on the Marvel side, you have like the Midnight Suns with like Morbius and Ghost Rider and Night Stalkers and Book of the Darkhold Redeemers or whatever. I love all of that stuff on their side. So I would love to see the Creature Commandos play a more prominent role in the DCU and actually get like maybe like a proper ongoing at some point. But as for the comic itself, I did really enjoy this issue as well. It does a good job of introducing us to the core cast, and it is in a typical let's recruit the team for an important mission type of way. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It is a trope, but it works. Yeah, which is why I think it's such a trope. And it's not the first appearance by a lot of these characters. Lucky, Velcro, they appeared back in that Weird War Tales, years and years ago. But there's essentially, for me, and I think for a lot of people, these are new or even different versions of those characters. So it is like meeting them for the first time. Right. Which I think was very cool. It's a very eclectic group. Yeah. Now, if there was a monster that was not included in this, who would you like to see added to the team?
Probably like, I don't know, I'd say like a mummy type of creature. Yeah. Something from like ancient mythology, something like that. Like you could never go wrong with the Creature from the Black Lagoon, I think. Is also one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, and this comic came out around the same time as the Creature Commandos animated show on HBO Max. Did you watch that?
I didn't.
Yeah. I actually had watched a couple of episodes and then kind of stopped. Not that I didn't enjoy it. I just got busy with other things. Right. I took last Friday off of work, just like a PTO day. I started working. My son wasn't feeling well, so I was planning on taking him to the doctor anyway. And I worked for about an hour, like that Friday morning, and I was like, I don't have it in me. I was like, I need to take a day. So I took a me day, got my son taken care of, and then I watched like all of the Creature Commandos episodes, actually while I finished my notes on this. Right. And that does have a character in there that is a amphibious type mer character, not quite Creature of the Black Lagoon. Right. But along the same lines. I'm trying to think if there was a character that's not included. I like the idea of the mummy. Mm-hmm. I don't know because, and again, the bride of Frankenstein is one of the characters in that animated series as well. Yeah, Frankenstein is too, but he's a much different Frankenstein in that than what we have in this. Right. But I think maybe having a bride in there at some point would be pretty cool too. But the nice thing with a book like that is you can add so many different characters and have them come and go depending on what the mission is. There's any number of things that you can do. What'd you think of the art in the book?
I really liked it. I thought the artwork was great. The writing, of course, really good. This is probably one of those, I've seen that before where, like you said at the beginning, where an actor or somebody in another profession tries to become a writer, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
This is a instance of it working.
Agreed. I think that the writing is really well done. The dialogue it's got a nice flow to it. It's not it's not forced. There are jokes that one of the characters will laugh at that don't necessarily land, but that's real life. I make jokes all the time that don't land.
Right. I do too.
And I like that aspect of it, actually. It's funny because when I read it the first time, I was like, man, am I supposed to find that funny? And I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to find that funny. I think this character finds it funny, but no one else is really supposed to find it funny.
Right.
And I think that was intentional. And I like that because you don't see that often, in my opinion, in comic book stories.
Yeah.
Either it's like a funny, or it's comedy for comedy's sake, but it's not often where there's a joke that no one else, that's not really a joke. Like no one else finds it funny. So I dug that. The art, so the writing's good, dialogue's good. Again, the story follows a pretty simple first story, let's meet the team type premise. I always like it when you kind of play around with time, where you Tarantino some things and you start at one point in time and go back or slide forward. I do enjoy that aspect of storytelling, and I thought it was done pretty well here.
Yeah.
The art is really good. I like Jesus's style. It's kind of etchy or sketchy. And I think we're going to talk about another issue in the next couple of episodes that has a very similar art style, in my opinion. And it's complemented really well by the coloring by Alex Guimarães, and I know I'm mispronouncing that last name. My apologies to these names that I'm mispronouncing, but your work is excellent.
Right.
I really enjoyed this first issue, and actually the overall 6-issue miniseries was a lot of fun to read. So cool. I definitely recommend checking out if people are interested in that. Like I said, I'd like to see this made an ongoing. I think that it could be done and done very well. I don't know if it would have the readership to last 25, 35, 50 issues. I think that would be amazing if it did.
Yeah.
And I think that anyone who liked this would give that a chance, and anyone who missed out this should give that a chance, especially if you get some of the same creators behind it. I don't know what Des Malkian's schedule looks like. I don't know that he's looking to be a full-time comic book writer or do a full-time series, but I would like to see him return to do some more writing of some sort like this in the near future.
Yeah.
In terms of what came next, nothing really. I mean, this book was just published over the last year, and it ran well into 2025. Like I said, there was that animated series on HBO Max around the same time, though there was no correlation between the two. The one character that did cross over, like I said, was Frankenstein, and he was much different in terms of characterization. Anything else that you want to add before we rate it?
I don't think so.
Excellent.
Pretty much covered it.
Well, let's go ahead and rate it then. Would you have, upon reading this, would you have bought the next issue, at least read the next, skipped it, or would rather have Velcro drain all the blood from your body?
I would. This is probably one of the ones I would have bought the next issue of.
Yeah.
And I'm very selective with what I buy, I guess, especially now because, cover prices aren't.
Yeah, $5.
Are $5
for a comic, give or take, yeah.
But yeah, this is one I would love to check out just because I like the horror aspect of it. I like the fact that we've got some kind of classic, Universal Monster-esque characters in it. It is another team-up comic, kind of like Suicide Squad, something like that. But I think it's done very well. I mean, you can kind of, especially with a lot of the ones we've read, like Wildcats, the X-Men comics, things like that, you get this group of people that don't really belong together and you throw them in a room together and it's like, go fight that threat over there.
Right.
And sometimes it's just like, in what world would this work? But in this world, it does. Yeah,
agreed. And one thing, I think that in terms of how the potential that this has in the greater DC comic universe, you've got already have such really cool supernatural properties. Like we already talked about Justice League Dark
Yeah.
And I love that title and those characters and that whole world that they exist in. You could easily integrate these characters into that, and you've got one that's more maybe magic focused, like with Justice League Dark, and then you've got these ones over here that's more military and action-packed focused. And I think that they could really complement each other very well.
Definitely.
And there's other characters too that you can always throw in. You've got, Constantine, you've got put Ragman in there. I mean, you've got so many cool characters that you could draw from, like monster myth characters. Add the Golem in there. Or Ragman, which was essentially like created out of the whole mythology as well.
Right.
There's so much that you could do with that. I would love to see it further explored.
Absolutely.
But yeah, my rating is definitely by the next issue.
Yeah.
Will not be disappointed. It's a great miniseries. Be sure to check it out. And again, happy Halloween, everybody. This is technically our Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me, Bill.
Of course.
For the last year, and really appreciate that, and look forward to the next for sure. Want to thank everyone as well at the Field of Geeks Network for helping to make this happen. Really appreciate that. Want to thank Raven X for the theme music.
Yeah.
Be sure to like this video, subscribe. Field of Geeks is where you can find us. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can also find us on Facebook at the #1 comic podcast. So be sure to check that out, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.